Hello, fellow lunatics. On January the 9th, we're going to have the conjunction of Mars to the Sun. This happens to occur every 2 years, 26 months to be precise. And it's in the sign of Capricorn. And we haven't seen that conjunction in this part of our sky since 1979 and also since 1993. That would be December of 93 and January of 79. And each of those times you add approximately 24 months to understand the meaning of Mars in the sign of resources, the sign of the sea goat, the sign of what we want to climb, what mountain we want to climb to accomplish something in a steadfast, enduring way with action and discipline. That's Capricorn. That's Mars in this part of the sky. At the same time, Mars is out of bounds. He's a rule breaker. He's a maverick. He does it his way. It's that old Frank Sinatra song, I did it my way. And at the very same time, we also have an assembly of planets. Mercury, Venus, and Mars are here. That takes us back to the 1993-94 kind of energy. And that's the closest comparison we have. If you didn't see my Monday drop, I talked with a great astrologer about this in great depth. We went diving deep, Julia Simas and I, into this story. So you can watch that video. And if you want to focus more on the Venus conjunction with the Sun from January 6th, I did a great interview with shocking world predictions with Donnie Lim, and he's a genius astrologer. And there's some great content there. And that probably will have dropped on Wednesday. This video may be coming out on Thursday or Friday. I'm not sure. I'm coming down with the flu that everybody has had except for me. You go shopping in Vancouver, Canada, and everyone's coughing in the checkout lines and the coffee shops and the streets. So I'm just recording for you today on January 6th, and I'm coming down with it. Sore throat, headache, scratchy throat, chest, and all of that. So hang in there with me because I'm not going to do the all signs all over again. Why? I did the all signs delineation for this in a video 1 month ago. You probably forgot it. Maybe you didn't see it. Nobody was watching videos at all in December before the holiday started. So I'm going to attach the all signs story of how to deal with this energy and what it means for your next 2 years of your life. The next 2 years of your life are defined by a reset button that reminds you of living through 1994-95 and also reminds you of living through perhaps 1979 and 1980. But this time, Jupiter's watching across the way, exalted. It's not exactly the same. Pluto has moved out over into Aquarius, and it's kind of like astronomically connected to this energy, but not sign-based connection. So there could be some spillover there. And finally, I want to say one more thing before I go ahead and do the appending of the all signs here. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check out my 2026 all signs bundles or individual signs on sale, still at the December sale price. It's in the description box below. But I want to also say, and join my membership community here, I also want to show you the sky. And I'm going to do this the best I can because I'm absolutely delirious, okay? And welcome, by the way, if you're new to my channel. I do all signs and world astrology. Less world astrology, the platforms become very, very strict about it, unfortunately. If you want more world astrology, you can check me out on the Substack platform where I have a newsletter and I write about world events called the Pluto Chronicles. All information about that is in my description box under the video. Yeah, I'm already feeling it. Guys, I feel like I'm going down for the count. All right, so this is the sky. Why is it so dark? There, this is the sky. And I want you to notice that this is what we're talking about. Mars will be co-joining the Sun on January the 9th. He'll be deeply, deeply invisible until March the 17th. So we won't say that he's going to give you all of the proof of his pudding here until we see him rising into the visible sky in Pisces in the month of March. And we'll be covering the heliacal rise of Mars in Pisces. That's a whole other cool story. And I'll be teaching a course on that if I'm well enough Thursday. Otherwise, I won't be. But this story here, that's important. And one thing I'll say, everybody's out of bounds. Venus and Mercury and Mars, and also the January 3rd lunation that we had, the full moon that we had over here was out of bounds. We've got so much out of bounds energy, guys. So every planet wants to break the rules. Every planet's like busting out and doing its own thing. It's kind of like got no choreographer, maestro. There can be volatility with this energy. But I want to mention this. I'm a little concerned with Volcano. with earth matters like earthquakes. Some of you know I posted on Substack my two dreams and the astrology that suggests a major earthquake in the Pacific Basin, Pacific coast of North America could occur sometime in the next 2 weeks. And I still stand by that as well. We have a possible Capricorn new moon that could also be an amplifier. But energetically speaking, Volcano is not just the asteroid of volcanoes. You know, it's explosive energy, yes. But I will mention briefly that it's the guy who made the thunderbolts of Zeus, right? It's the husband, the deformed husband of Venus, Hephaestus, Volcano, same dude, different name. And he made weapons, basically, okay? Thunderbolts of Zeus, things that fly through the air and cause harm. Let's just leave it at that. You know the word that starts with an M, right? The thing that projectile that flies through the world, through the air at long distance, intercontinental, all of that. That's my concern. If I have these words right now, YouTube won't let me post this. Okay. I can't say anything about sensitive topics, war, death, tragedy. You know what I'm saying? So the strict is too strict right now. You can't post that stuff on a monetized channel. I'd have to have sponsors, right? And so I can't do that. The other thing I want to mention, though, is that when we think of the things that fly through the air, the thunderbolts of Zeus, the weapons, the things that are made by Zeus, made by Volcano Hephaestus for Zeus, who threw thunderbolts as weapons, okay? There is a political leader. His name starts with BN, okay? He's connected to the part of the world where big bad things have happened. So just go with the letter N, prime minister of a small country back over there, Middle East-wise. He's got that same asteroid on his midheaven. Okay, so if you want to use the word iron swords as a war, you got things that fly that are swords, right? Including DRONES. So will I say that, because the N guy has that on his midheaven, this is also something intimate to his chart, and he has that on his MC in Virgo, right? So this trines his MC midheaven. So we could see some stories going on there, especially with the nation of Iran. All right, so I'm not going to go too much into it. This is a very darker asteroid as well, Ixion. They write it up as a transgressor, breaking the rules, raging against God. Okay, but it's also a very dark story to do with, bad stuff. Ixion in mythology, if you want to look at it, is like, oh my God, it was a centaur, and he basically did a lot of really gnarly things. Let me go back and grab my Ixion myth sheet. Ouch. Sorry. And tell you what it is. And then we're going to go ahead and do the all signs. And don't forget, I'm giving you a story that runs for 2 whole years. Don't think about this week. Probably can't see evidence for this Mars reset button for change of direction, change of choosing, acting, deciding, cutting, ending, and severing. Choosing, acting, deciding, cutting, ending, and severing are Martian words already. And Mars will help you choose, cut, and sever. Like you cut the gangrene limb off your body, right? You prune the dead wood off the tree. So we need the cutting, severing, and ending feature of reality. And sometimes we don't want things to end. We want to cling to our marriage, our job, our home, or whatever it is. But Mars will help us separate or divide or cut and decide. So that's the whole point of the all signs. I'll be talking about where you're making some major life changes and choices in the Capricorn part of your sky that will influence your life over a 2-year window. Okay. And what about that gnarly Ixion? What is he known for? Just for the record, like you can see I'm flushed, right? You can see I have a low grade fever. Just for the record, Ixion, the gnarly king of the lapis, lost his mind basically. All right. He married someone named Dia. He promised his father-in-law a valuable present. He did not pay the bride. So this guy stole some of Ixion's horses in retaliation, and Ixion concealed his resentment and invited his father-in-law to the Feast of Larissa. This is like the Red Wedding. So he invites from the Game of Thrones. He invites his father-in-law to this feast. And then this father-in-law is Dionysus. And then he pushed him into a bed of burning coals and wood, and he concealed him under the wood and ash. So you cannot kill your father-in-law. Okay. So he got in big trouble for doing something murderous and something, a crime. It's considered a crime, right? You can't kill a guest. So this very red wedding, which is funny because there was a recent military operation called that as well by that gnarly nation. And so basically there's that. And then he basically was, he went mad. The neighboring princes were so offended by his crime, basically of treachery and violation, that they refused to perform rituals that would have cleansed him from his guilt or catharsis. And then he lived as an outlaw and was shunned. And by having killed his father-in-law, he was considered to be the first man guilty of kinslaying in Greek mythology. All right, now Zeus eventually took pity on him, by the way, and brought him to Mount Olympus and introduced him to a table of gods. But instead of being grateful, he got really lustful and started to make a move. He started to make a move on Zeus's wife, Hera. The guy can't learn a lesson. Oh my God, he sounds like a psychopath. All right, so now he also broke a rule of violating a guest host, saying you do not go after your host's wife, right? And so he got in trouble from Zeus as well. Oh my God, what happened to him next? The poor guy. Oh my God. So then what happened was he got in trouble from Zeus, and then Zeus found out about the moves he made on his wife Hera. And then he made a cloud in the shape of his wife Hera. Zeus did that, which became known as the Nephil, from Nephos cloud. And he tricked Ixion into having sex with it. And from that union came all kinds of bad things, right? Okay, so we're not monsters and demons and bad shit like that. Okay, we're not going to go into it all. But here's the deal. And then he was expelled from Olympus and blasted with a thunderbolt from Zeus. Okay, so there you go. So we have the thunderbolt maker, and we have this treachery story of somebody who breaks all the rules and does crimes that go against the rules of collective societal agreements, right? Well, we can say that there's a certain prime minister in that way, the ME part of the world, whose last name starts with N, that is actually called a war criminal and has got warrants out for his arrest. So we could maybe see some stories about him. Some people predict that he may have a downfall. I don't doubt it. The March eclipse on his midheaven, South Node eclipse, taking cue from the last South Node eclipse in September, is either a fall from political power or a fall from reality, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Decapitation. All right, let's get going. Your sign next. I can't believe how, yes, I have a fever. I think I got to get a thermometer and check this out. I know everyone around me's had it. Oh, you know, I got to give my immune system a workout. I'm going to take a positive note on that. Thanks, guys. I'll see you in the next video Sunday, which will be about the next moon, which is in Capricorn. And thanks for liking and subscribing. Thanks for bringing me a lot of love. I am so grateful for those of you who have subscribed. Help me boost this channel. Help me keep the spirit of this channel alive. I appreciate all of you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you will. Take care. Bye-bye. Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. It is a story where you're going to have a fresh start in your 10th house of career, reputation, visible actions in the world. Mars cuts, ends, and severs. He's dying here. To make it simple, some part of your career is dying. All right, changing, dramatically changing. Now, it's not always a bad thing. Take a deep breath, right? Don't sweat it. In November of 2023, Mars died in the house of taxes. Did it kill you, or you're still standing, right? Finances, banking, mortgages, loans, secrets, erotic sexuality. He died there. And like for me, as an example, just because I can give me as an example, right? I basically ended up with the condition of a new tax structure I incorporated. And then Mars rose. He rose into Capricorn right here. And rising gives him strength. It gives him vibrancy. It gives him fresh beginnings. So as I mentioned for the nation of Israel, that would be their 4th house. And they were occupying and taking over a lot of new land, especially with the settlers in the West Bank, but also going to war with neighbors to acquire land, like in Syria. You might consider in your own life that you look back and you think to yourself, wow, I didn't do too bad. I was rocking it in my career. I was passionate, driven, focused, maybe a workaholic, and I was going for it. I had direction, momentum, decisions, and action power in my career space. Did you? I did. And when did Mars rise? January. Mars rose here in January of 2024. And now he's dying here in January of 26, closing that chapter out, but giving you nothing but change up here, because where Mars goes into the heart of the sun and dies, some part of your career ambition is dying. Some part of your reputation is dying. You're going to reset it here. It will not be the same career path the way you've been doing it when you look back at this part of your sky 2 years later, or in other words, in 2028 January. Now, for you, as this button will reset, it will happen at 19 Capricorn. Sure, your Aries sun, your Aries moon or rising is pretty well close to the 19th degree. You're going to really feel it. Sun is career, moon is home and body, or home and emotions and mind, and your rising sign is your simulation avatar, everything about your character. So if you have anything at those degrees, right, close to 19, it's going to be very intense. It's going to square you. Like my sun is at 14.5 degrees. So Mars is really tightly squaring my natal career planet, the sun. I could pretty well expect Lori's probably not doing these YouTube videos for you 2 years from now. Something is changing in how I affect my career. Let's go ahead and draw a quick card for you. I don't think I'm gonna, well, we'll see. I could try. I'm not going to read the deck. I'm just going to give you a kind of a quick and dirty, you know? So let's go for it. I'm making a nice rack of lamb for dinner. I'm already hungry. The fire ant, you can't make that up because of course Mars is full of fire, but it's also hot. It's also hot. Okay, stop the share. I just want to see if I can get to you guys without losing the entire back end. So it's a fire ant, guys. So this is kind of the vibe of the 2 years, right? And when we do the January video, we'll have a lot more detail about it. But because we'll be looking at the minor asteroids and the aspects that create the onset of the rebirth. This is a preview video on the concept itself, fire ant. The webinar is going to be affordable, but it's not going to be free. I do a lot of free webinars, but this one I'd be putting a lot of work in. It's going to be educational. Fire ant, but it will be affordable. Fire ant, where are you? This is because Kim Kranz in her animal guidebook, spirit guidebook, doesn't organize things properly. And if I have to say, if she ever does a reissue, please give us a table of contents or something. She has a conceptual organizing mind. Aggression, keywords are aggression, following orders and rigid thinking. So bad, rigid thinking. Aggression, well, sometimes we have to be aggressively changing stuff in our lives. How to be in balance on the 2 years that follow, right? Because if you want to be in balance, you need to be disciplined and you need to be thoughtful. Can you be disciplined in your career changes and thoughtful about it? I think you can. But if you're off your A game, then you're going to find yourself arguing with people with excess heat, Mars rules heat, and gossiping. And being in balance over those 2 years is time for you to do the following items. Wow, I love walking at night and solo time. Now, Capricorn is like the Aquarian Saturn ruled, and Saturn represents alone time. So alone time can help you navigate some of that changing of direction, changing of your career path, because you will be changing it. All right, there's no doubt about it. Let's go ahead because it's that Mars does do that in the 10th house. Uh-oh. Let's go ahead and let's make this thing work. We need to edit the chart and we need to move it to a whole sign house system. I pinned it to 0, Aries. So I don't know if you guys know about the 7-year cycle, but every 7 years or 7.5 years, we kind of come into a Saturn, either a square opposition or square to our natal Saturn. And that's why we have a 7-year itch in love stories. And I find that every time that Saturn 7-year cycle happens, I need to change my career. It was 7 years ago, I started Lunatic Astrology, right? From 2026. So it started in 2019 as a full-time job. So consider that Lori's changing her direction. All right, we don't want Gemini, we want Taurus. Sorry, Gems. Oh, Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. Mars, the god of changes in direction and changes of plans and changes of momentum and decision-making and action-taking, is going to reset your button. It's going to happen at 19 degrees of the sign of Capricorn on January 9th, and it's going to open up a door. Okay, look for the door that opens between you and your 9th house. Now, just be clear, and I gave this in the beginning, this has happened before. This reset button, sure, it was at different degrees, but it happened here in December of 93 to 94. 5, like that window of 2 years was where you made major changes in the ninth house. And if you're old enough, January of 79 to 1981. Most of you might not have any memories of doing anything important then, because you would have been much, much too young or not even alive on the planet. So keep that in mind. This is foreign lands and foreign shores, and very possible some of you may have correlations in those 2 years of having moved to another land or another shore or traveled abroad extensively. This is also legal and court battles, and Mars is the legal lawyer going to battle in the court. And that's often associated, just a 6-week transit, with legal issues, where there's some battling over court matters and judges and law. But he's going to be going through here, not just as a 6-week journey till 23rd of January. It says, whoa, look for legal entanglements, legal battles, legal challenges, maybe legal success. He's exalted. And if you've been dealing with legal things and you have to tidy up lawsuits or legal loose ends, I think you might be coming out on top. And especially with Saturn, Lord of Mars, in the house of windfalls and great gains and cosmic and karmic rewards. So legal battle should go your way. And some of you might pursue education and decide to go back to school. And if you do, you will do very well. And according to the chart, you'll learn something that's going to be very profitable. So going back to school in those 2 years can increase your success in your profits from your career. So it's very good for professional re-education, educational shifts as well. You could change your religion and spiritual belief if you have one, and Mars will have you redirect that. And so then we're going to go ahead and just simply say that, well, Mars is here just for the 6 weeks. You might be very motivated around ninth house matters that I've already mentioned to you, but understand that he is invisible, as I mentioned in the intro. So don't look for any clear new directions around travel, distant shores and lands, legal and court wins or battles, or even education, until at least we get them into the visible sky, March onward, add 2 years. Now we're going to draw a card from Kim Cran's The Animal Spirit. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. We have an elk. What a noble creature. Isn't that beautiful? I don't know, just makes me feel good to look at that elk. And so I don't know what it means, but it feels positive. Elk, you are coming up for a read for the public here. Okay, how are you going to respond to this? Because when Mars is rising in his exaltation in your ninth house, he's trining you. The flow between Taurus and Capricorn is an applying trine, which means it's full of luck, opportunity, growth, and expansion. Trines are very positive. You like the vibe. The closer your sun, moon, and rising is to 19 degrees, the more strongly you feel it. You will be stable, resilient, and headstrong, and this represents father energy. To get down with this energy and really work with it over 2 years, as Mars is giving you the opportunity to do, you can be very balanced when you are kind, you are consistent, and you are supportive. And when you're out of balance in those 2 years, you might be high and mighty and pretentious. And to keep yourself working with the flow, you want to eat and drink more consciously. Okay, Mars is going to get you to cut out some of the things you shouldn't be imbibing. Not too bad. Conscious eating and drinking. Why the heck not? I don't know. Sometimes I see my chart and sometimes I don't. Hey, Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. Isn't this so cool? I mean, not seen since 1993, end of December to 1995, end of December, and before that 79 January to 81 January, we had Mars resetting himself, dying in the sun's heart in Capricorn. Well, Capricorn is chunky money for you. It's that kind of money that you share with a spouse, get through an inheritance, get from your in-laws, money that comes from other people, money that can come in a chunk like a commission check or a assurance payout, etc. It's financial institutions, banks, mortgages, lending institutions are here as well. To some degree, investments as well, like money making money. So you're going to have an exalted reset button here. I don't know how old you are. Can you go back to 93 to 95 and look at money stories? Like I have a progressed Gemini sun, but it wasn't in Gemini that long ago. So I can't use that as an example for me to give to you. But I would tell you that something wants to reboot and restart and refresh on the screen of money that you are entitled to, that you don't have to slave for. And I sometimes see that the 8th house is a retirement house. 8 out of 10 times people in an 8th house age will retire from a long marriage and goodbye, honey, 40 years is enough. Or then we can retire from a job or career path. And so with Mars cutting, severing, and ending, is a good chance that some of you older Geminis will retire out of some career direction. You could also be going through a divorce with settlements and, pursing and separating the spousal assets in a divorce in the next 2 years. Sorry, that's one of the things that Mars says there. And so that's two stories you may not want, but Mars is bringing you what you need, not what you want, because he's ruled by Saturn in the career and reputation and weddings house. Again, everything I said is true. Some of you could go through completions, endings, changes in those marriages and job situations of great importance to you. Otherwise, an exalted Mars here in Capricorn might not be too shabby for working on investments in the stock markets. Okay, I can see you doing that, but being careful for blue chip and dividends, okay, and value stocks. Holy man, it's hot in here. Why value stocks? I'm in my sweats. Why? It's hot. Why value stocks? Because this is Capricorn. You're better off not taking risks, Gemini. Get your blue chips under your belt. Look for buying opportunities. There will be them in 2026, and puts your money into safety havens in investment structures. And that's what I've got for you. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw a card and we're going to see what we get. I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to see if I can just keep the darn screen there. Like, why isn't it staying? You guys, I don't even get my software is all over the place. And the card for you is the wolf. The wolf. What about the wolf? All right. Well, first of all, the wolf is about the same category as the elf, by the way, in this book. Now I'm hearing a song, hungry like a wolf. All right, guardian of family and tribe, ritual and activism. If you're in balance in the 2 years that follows this cosmic reset in 19 degrees of Capricorn on January 9th, you are going to be reliable, democratic, and fearless. Reliable, democratic, and fearless. And you will be out of balance if you are dominating and judgmental of other people. And if you want to bring yourself into balance during the entire 2 years, practice the art of letting go. Well, you'll have to let go there of that job or that career, or that marriage. I mean, there's some serious 8th house surrender. It's like a death and rebirth of yourself. And something about that does always demand that we let go. Now, when I do this video for the real deeper dive in the webinar, we're going to talk about the houses that Mars rules in your chart. I don't have time for that one today. It's a preview, but he does rule your house of work. And I see a lot of you are likely to take a break or quit your job or shift your work in a very significant way, like as if you're retiring from one line of work or profession to move into something new. Like, you know what I mean, guys? Sometimes I can do this and I don't have to like continually adjust my screen. And sometimes it doesn't let me do it. All right. How about you, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising? I guess you could go back to 1993 to 1995, December to December, or January of 79 to January of 81 to vibe out with a reset button in Capricorn. Capricorn is a part of your sky that is your marriage house. And I'm not sure, but some of you could have gone through some fresh starts and new beginnings in long-term committed love relationships. You might have met somebody, started seeing somebody, began to date somebody. Those are common themes that could occur under that, like long-term committed dating. But Mars cuts, ends, and severs as well. And you might have had turbulence, Cancer, in your relationships, right? It might have gone through a rocky time. You could have had a near divorce. Some of you may divorced or separated from your partner. And even here, Mars could also have caused a partner in the past to pass away. So those are vibes that you might have already lived through and no longer, or have, but you got to do it again. So it's back. Now, you might go into confrontation with other people, especially legal conflict when Mars is like in this kind of aggressive angle at you. He does rule the house of children, and you might have had some difficulties with your children at the times I've mentioned in the past. They could have gone through difficulties. You were trying to help them through those difficulties, right? So really all of 94 and all of 95 is the most recent example. If you are looking for partners, like business partners. Mars moving through your seventh house is ideal. You could come into contact with new people who have determination, willpower, and strength, and can go the marathon distance because it is, Capricorn, and really find those people coming in your life to be of great assistance. And it's ruled by Saturn, this particular Mars ingress, Saturn in the end of Pisces. And so it's possible that you might find yourself also being able to, if you're single, finding a relationship with someone from a far off land and distant shore from your birthplace. And it would be a relationship that was trying to be stable and lasting and enduring. Otherwise, you might also be able to connect this dot to an educational opportunity in a higher educational setting or book publishing success as well. And Mars, ruled by Saturn, would try to bring worldly success through those venues of education, book publishing, or love from a foreigner or foreign place or foreign land person. It could be traveling in your own country, right? Or living in your own country, but they're from another country, have a different language, different religion. Love with a foreigner, right? Very sexy, hot, passionate maybe, but stable and lasting with Mars's Capricorn signature. Okay, one more thing. Sometimes Mars likes to cut things, and legal contracts, that's why we said divorce, are of the nature of the seventh house. So there's a strong possibility that you will sever existing legal agreements. That can be any kind of agreement, but also professional agreements, because Mars is the ruler of your professional 10th house. So you might be ending, cutting, and severing professional agreements in the 2 years that follow this reset button story. Ow, now we're going to stop the share. That shoulder impingement. Guys, ay. It's all about low levels of estrogen, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to blame low estrogen. Oh, the black egg, Like, this is one of the esoteric cards. She's got cards that are very super mystical, and some of them are completely not mystical. They're very, I mean, this is mystical. This is not an animal, guys. Ain't an animal. You got the black egg. How to handle those 2 years, right? January of 2025, 6 to January 2028. Resets in the marriage house. Divorce, separation. I don't want to scare any one of you, but it could even be widower, widowinghood. I'm talking to my old people here, I hope. None of you youngins. Lacking. Now, of course, I'm going to get criticism for planting a dark seed, but forewarned can be forearmed. Oh, black egg. Okay. Very esoteric. It is speaking from an authentic voice, and it represents the truth. Isn't it funny that Jupiter, the god of truth, capital T, is in your sign as Mars ingresses into this part of the sky, December 15th? So we have an inner truth. The black egg waits for us to reconnect to that inner truth that's available at every moment in every situation. It's the epicenter of truth, the birthplace of our voice, and it has to do with the 5th chakra, so the throat chakra. And it talks about the subtle essence of this card is the base of the throat, the hub that governs our speech and expression. Balance of the center is important for all of us, but it's especially essential for writers, editors, musicians, and teachers. So authentic connection to speech and truth, right? Isn't one of the 4 agreements to do with speech? It's like, don't take it personally. Something about your word being impeccable, right? So this is being called forth for you in the 2 years that follows. When Mars is in the 7th house for 6 weeks, like for someone like me, trolls are hitting me, right? In my Leo 7th house, I'm Aquarius rising. Out comes the angry, the aggressive, the gnarly folk. So you being more truthful and impeccable with your word and watching your speech, it probably is a good idea. Okay. Wow. Okay. So especially if someone's going to try to lob a lawsuit at you, which is another possibility under that sky. I'm going to go on to the next sign, and I'm going to see if I can at least get halfway that thing organized in the right place. Yeah. Hey guys, it is Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. you got a reset button that is all about Capricorn, and that's your work house. Okay, job, work, employment, self-employment as well. I mean, where do you work, at home or what? And sometimes it can involve pets, and sometimes it can involve rental property. Mars cuts, ends, and severs. So let's be really clear. Mars is not a friend of your pet in this condition. So it is possible that some of you with an older pet, because Saturn is a ruler and Saturn rules elders, an elder pet may be passing in your life between January 9th of 2026 to 2028, January, but also your work. Now, Mars is in his joy in the sixth house, and he likes to work hard and passionately, and he goes for it with gusto. So there may be a renewed passion or excitement about work that you haven't felt since 1993, December, to 1995, December. So really all of 94, 95. Did you quit your job? Did you passionately pursue a new job? Did you start a new direction in your work? Did you rent a property? Did you lease a home out to some tenant, or did you become a tenant and rent a property? Now, Mars likes to cut and sever, and this is a house of debts, credit card debts, loans, mortgage debts, whatever your debts are. You could cut the debts. You can sever your debts. And with Saturn in the house of banking, loans, mortgages, and finances ruling this Mars, a doubling down on a change of debt structure and a elimination of life debt. So there's something good about that, to say the least. And some of that could also come from property sale or and property purchase energy based on Mars's rulership of your fourth house. So not too bad at all. And if you want to go to school or educate yourself or work in a foreign land or from a foreign company, Mars can activate those things in the 2 years that follow as well. Injury. Mars is the god of accidents, injury, heat, inflammation, rashes, fevers, all of that stuff. However, Capricorn is ruling more like the knees, right? The bony, sinewy, spinally structures of the body, the hard structures, including the knees in Capricorn. So I'm going to warn you, do not overdo your walking or jumping up and down or stair climbing, because this is classic inflammation or injuries to the knees in the 2 years that follow. And that's not the end of the world, I mean, but it could happen. You know what I mean? You could get it fixed, right? Mars rules surgery. You may have surgery that you choose to activate. Don't do it when he's invisible. I talked about this in the beginning. Wait till after March, that you want to do some surgical procedure with the goal of improving your health, okay? So surgical procedures for health improvements, not cosmetics here, health improvements, alrighty? And that's what I got for you on that. Let's draw a card from Kim Cran's Animal Spirit Oracle deck, and it is a dragonfly. Ooh, I love dragonflies. I just find them absolutely enchanting. I remember one of them landed on my finger and it wouldn't leave, and I felt like so blessed one time. It was during a time of great change and difficulty, and this was like a cosmic moment of beauty and peace. All right, the dragonfly. Mine was a red dragonfly that landed on my hand back in the day. That happened in 2018, I think. Dragonfly, master of light, illusion, and the mind. So how to navigate this 6th house Mars story in the 2 years that follows. So all of 94, 95 it happened, and you're having it again like all of 26 and all of 27. 2027. When you're in balance, you see clearly and you're joyful and you're magical. Well, that's interesting because Saturn is in the house of the metaphysics and the supernatural and the spiritual occult mysteries. So keep the magical in mind. If you're out of balance in those 2 years, you can't concentrate and your mind will be way too busy. And to bring yourself into balance, you need to focus on the breath. Okay, use a little breathing exercises there. I didn't sleep well last night and I'm still plowing away. I know there's a bunch of minor asteroids in the chart. Please ignore them. Those were for a client's chart and I forgot to remove them. Now we're going to go on to the Virgo sun, moon, and rising sign. Hey, Virgos, what do you got to say about the day here? I want you to know that you are going to like the idea of Mars's death and rebirth. Why? Because it trines your sign. And here is Mars, and he's looked back at his shoulder at you, and you have flow vibes between you and Mars. Mars is going to be ending, cutting, severing, releasing in your fifth house. Your fifth house is the house of your children, and it's the house of your sexual and romantic love stories. It's a house of entrepreneurial stuff. It's a house of athletics and sports, and it's a house of your natural talents and gifts. Mars can have you ambitiously pursue a successful entrepreneurial path. That would be a yes. However, be careful for pregnancy here because Mars rules miscarriages and abortions. And unfortunately, this looks like that if you're trying to get a baby off the ground, you may not be successful in those 2 years, and or you may not want to keep that baby. He's ruled by Saturn in the house of significant long-term love relationship partners, and maybe there's a thing there where it's not the best time to try to conceive. It could also lead you to a very successful entrepreneurial business that you have a real handle on your client's audience, marketplace, and outreach. But he cuts, ends, and severs. And if you already have an entrepreneurial self-starter business and you are your own boss, he's telling us you're quitting, changing, ending, severing that for something different and something new. Now, single Virgos in the 2 years that this happens, and don't forget, you go back in time to see how did these themes play out, all of 94 and 1995, or all of 79 and 1980, kind of that's when these were activated last. But I kind of think that you might also think about this as, okay, I've been doing this gig. I've had this sort of side hustle or entrepreneurial or creative artistic direction in my business work for a long time. And it's time to make a change a direction, no longer wanting to do that. And you might be doing that in harmony or concert with a marriage partner or a significant relationship partner as well. Now, I was encouraging you perhaps to be careful around getting pregnant at this time. All right, so I'm going to continue with that. However, there's always a possibility that this just means there's a pregnancy or a birth connected to a significant marriage partner, and it's their story, not yours. So you're the guy, all right, and the woman would be getting pregnant, and maybe that's not so much about ending the conception. You are going to be, if you're single, looking for new love stories, meeting somebody that is just going to bring a lot of sexual energy into your life, a lot of passion, a lot of vim, a lot of, yeah, this is really sexy. But it also can be very committed and lasting as well as sexy and hot and exciting. Children moving out of the home, if you're an older person, moving away, severing, cutting your ties with a child, right? Sometimes they're just going to move out. Maybe you're moving away from where they live. So there's less contact, a cutting or a cord cutting, an apron string with an adult child or an older child as a possibility. Let's go ahead and draw a card and get more into it in a minute. Yeah, I would encourage you to think about that transit. Mars is an athlete in a house of athleticism, that some of you might take up a new athletic endeavor. And with Saturn ruling it, it would be traditional, right? It wouldn't be pickleball. That's kind of brand new, but you might take up a new sport or athletic endeavor that has like lots of traditional legs. And with Saturn ruling it in watery Pisces, anything to do with water and health, like water sports, but also anything to do with flowing movement, like Tai Chi or Qigong or karate or martial arts. I mentioned my daughter, Virgo rising, would be such a kick-ass martial artist, and her dad was a martial artist. All right, Crocodile is your card for how to handle the energy as you navigate through the 2 years that are going to follow as a reset of direction, choices, changes, and actions in your fifth house. Oh, I hear some of you asking me, will this break my relationship with my partner up? No, Saturn's stabilizing your partnership right now. So no, but for new relationships, it can bring a lot of passion, a lot of excitement. And if the passion and excitement and sexual energy is dying out in your long-term love story, because you've been together too long, it could renew the passion, So when you're doing your vibe, Crocodile is resting. He's submerging. He's cooling off and collecting energy. So to be in balance over these 2 years of 26, 27, you are going to have to be wise and patient, be a silent powerhouse. When you're out of balance, you will be lashing out at others, maybe your significant other, where Saturn is making them grumpy and old, and you might feel stuck, you know? So how do you stay in balance in those 2 years? You are going to rest, and you're going to do a Makarasana pose. Makarasana, M-A-K-A, Makarasana, 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 Makarasana yoga pose. Well, guys, I have no idea what that is. What is the Makarasana? In the comments, you want to know, Google it for your own edification. Some yoga pose. You could have explained that one. Maybe it's the fish pose. I just don't know. I need to get back to my yoga. I need to get my hips straightened out. Libra, go for it. You've got this amazing reset button. Capricorn, new starts, changes. It's where you live. It's where you live. It's your home, your domicile. Quite possibly if you live with people, of course, Mars will separate you, a change of home, separating from the people you currently live with. But it just means an exalted change of home, right? In the 2 years that happened, 26 and 27. And a rising, of course, in March in the house of rental. So it's kind of a foregone conclusion for my daughter's Libra boyfriend. They live together, that they've already made a decision to move, and it's going to actually happen in March. It's already in place. Some of you already know it's going to happen, but over 2 whole years, all through 26 and 27, exalted moves are likely. Some of them will be rentals. Now, Mars down here also can end up looking like an ending or a severing or a cutting of a connection to a family of origin member. By that, I mean a parent, a grandparent, someone up your family lineage. And it's possible with Saturn, the elder in the house of sickness, that it would be an elder, like an elder grandparent, might be getting ready to leave the planet. And this could lead to not only a cutting from that person in your family line, but potentially quite the significant financial inheritance, because you have Mars cutting there, but he also is going to be able to witness in the house of inheritances Uranus on the star Algol, which can bring significant and surprisingly large amounts of inheritance money to you anytime throughout 26 and 2027. Call it like I see it. And you also, because Mars rules a house of money, right? Changes of home or inheritance money are going to be also attended by or connected to changes of income. And in this regard, some of you may change your work and therefore move, right? A new company, a new job, a new location. So some of these relocation energies may be connected specifically to job changes for some of you as well. And you could get a home office, you could work from home, and you could get more physically active and exercise close to your home. It doesn't have to be in your home, but like the gym is in the building below, it's like your athleticism and your working out energy is close to home. Finally, building a home. Some of you renovate, build. Saturn represents the employer, employing the laborers, the hammer guys, and in the 6th house of employing servants, but this would be building servants. So some of you may choose to build a home or significantly gut or renovate a property in these 2 years that follow, and do it successfully. Remember, this is just like whatever might have happened in like basically all of 94, 95, or all of 1980, 81. You've been through this reset before. Of course, planets are in different places. The flavors are different, but some of it is the same energy. So if you go back in time, you can compare notes. Tiger, whoa, I like a tiger energy because it is Mars, right? And it's got a little spice and fire there. Now, where is Tiger? Elephant, zebra, Tiger. In balance for those 2 years, you are a lunar force, you are at ease in the darkness, and you have an operating system that is feminine energy. That would be intuitive, flowing, emotionally intelligent, and cooperative. When you're in balance, you are passionate, strong, and sensual during the course of the 2 years that follows this story. And when you are out of balance, you might be overstimulated. So to bring yourself into balance, you need to candle gaze. That's when you light a candle, stare at it, and just empty your mind. very meditative practice. I have a fireplace that I look at, and I just totally lose myself in the flames. I mean, I'm like, I don't even think. I just have such stillness when I'm gazing at fire. Of course, I am an Aries, so that makes sense. I hope I'm sharing. Yeah. And we move into Scorpio. Well, Mars, like Aries, and you are ruled by Mars. So you really run on these cycles of his death and rebirth in the sun's heart every 2 years. So where Capricorn is for you is the neighbors, the neighborhood, the local community, and your daily activities and routines, as well as third house people, siblings, especially younger, also connections to aunts, uncles, cousins, and also connections to marketing, selling, communicating, and writing. Now, Mars is going to amp it up, right? He's going to give you a new beginning and a fresh start, but he's also intense, and he's also capable of severing, cutting, and ending. One of the classic ways this probably is going to work for quite a few of you is a change of domicile, a new home in a different city or neighborhood. Like, it won't be a move to another country. It'll be a move to another area of your country or your city or your environment. So a exalted change of neighborhood, which is a good change of neighborhood. And with Saturn in the 5th house, maybe because of your children, because you're going to have children, because of a romantic love partnership. Maybe an exalted success, by the way, could happen in marketing, selling, writing, communicating endeavors, like where you're going to kill it. You're going to do really, really well, especially if that is artistic, creative, or entrepreneurial, says Lord Saturn. Mars in the 3rd house can be conflict with or separation from aunts, uncles, cousins, but most importantly, siblings. Now, it doesn't have to be because there's hard feelings, because maybe you're going to move far away from those people that I just mentioned, or they're moving far away from you, and there just may be a separation by distance physically. And finally, sometimes Mars is commuting energy here. And you might end up in a position in a work situation, because Mars rules your house of job and work, where you have more distance to cover in order to get to work, you know? So in the next 2 years, you might get a great new job, but because Mars is exalted and gives you 2 years of good marketing, selling, communicating, and traveling, but even commuting. And it could end up looking like a new position and a new work, but you might be doing more commuting, or you're moving your city or neighborhood for the job. Okay, so that you're closer to work, or because the company's at another location from where you currently are residing. All right. Worst case scenario, you have cut off, you disenfranchise or end a sibling relationship. You get mad at them, you have a fight, you know, and you don't talk to them anymore. That's a possibility for some of you, but not probably many of you. Okay, so what we're going to do is draw a card from the Animal Oracle deck by Kim Kranz called Animal Spirit, and we have the eagle. You're the second one to get the eagle. Obviously, Mars has a fondness for eagles, and it is going to be how you're handling the vibration of the next 2 years. Now go back to 93, well, actually go back to 94, 95, 1979, 78, 79, 80. Those 2 years, calendar years, were times where you were living through the same part of the sky. Now, you know, a lot of you are really, really, really young. For instance, my son was born in 1989, so he was 4 years old. He moved neighborhoods. We moved from Washington, D.C. to Annapolis, Maryland, 45 minutes away. So you see what I mean? Even for a 4-year-old, this thing made sense. Okay, so it does work. Eagle. And he was much happier in the new location and the better school, and it worked out so well. Eagle, you're flying through the sky, so you're with the animals that are in the air. I know. Crow, owl, nightingale, peacock, hawk, eagle. All preparedness. Okay, so your eagle energies, you're running eagle energy for 2 years. You are all pervading, truth seeker, powerful, and you transform your karma. Well, not too bad. Don't forget, Mars rising is sextiling your Scorpio sun, moon, and rising. Close to your Scorpio sun, moon, and rising is to 19 degrees. The more you're going to feel the positive influence of this Mars shift of energy. Okay, so in the 2 years that follow, when you're on your A game, you are radiant and bright, and you don't mind challenges. And when you're out of balance, you can be controlling. And to bring yourself into balance, you need to step into the unknown, stepping into the unknown. All righty, why not? One thing about eagle energy, it's got the big picture view, right? So you're seeing where to go. I think some of you might be looking at creating a family off of this and moving your home because you're starting a family, like making babies and stuff, as I'm pretty sure my son will be doing, but I just can see that with that Saturn North Node energy. All right. Oh, I did not sleep as well as I wanted last night. I'm so sorry. Okay. I'm going to go to bed early. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. Mars is resetting himself October the 9th for a 2-year reset in your money, earnings, resources, savings, and spending second house. Your financial wellness is dependent on this house, and Mars is exalted. And he's going to try his best to strengthen your money, but he also brings change. And certainly with the South Node in your 10th house, a professional change would be likely, a change of the career, profession, and earnings and job stuff. All right, not going to do the same old, same old. And you'll see that probably if you went back to 1990, 94, 95, or like 1979, 1980, if you're old enough, there were money changes in your life, changes in how money came to you, new directions in your finances, and for many of you, a change of work, career, and job. So that's back again. And so you might want to compare notes. You might be able to go back and look at how those things played out back in the day. And Mars is also ruled here by Saturn, and changes of home connected to financial or work changes are in the mix. Some of you may be coming into some chunks of money, or you could change your home through divorce settlements and separations, or some inheritance money coming to you that allows for an upgrade in your home and more money on your table or on your accounting and your books, so to speak. And I do think a lot of you Sagittarius will be looking for a new place to live in the 2 years that follow, when Mars will, of course, rise in your 4th house. You might build a home, construct a home, renovate a home, or change your home. And some of you might want to move to another country. And so that's another feature of the North Node in the 4th house. So Mars can also give you the financial means to do that, or he may also help you move to a new place where you can be better equipped financially, save more money. Like, sometimes moving to like a less developed country with greater, lower cost of living would be indicative for some of you of an idea of something you might consider. Of course, not every Sag will do that. There's a possibility of some expenses that you're going to have to deal with in the 2 years that follows this reset. And that is and it could be spousal separation or divorce is one way. It could be expenses, just call it expenses, outlays, expenditures, different, more than you thought you needed to spend. It's all going to work out. So don't freak out when you start to say, oh, after March and Mars is visible, Lori, I started to have all these expenses. This expenses could be connected to changing your home or separating assets in a marital separation. All right. But Mars is exalted and you're going to come out on the other side of this A-okay. All right. So don't freak out about expenditures, expenses, and what seems like maybe a hole in your wallet at first. I think it won't be, I don't think that's the big picture story here at all. You have a gazelle, that beautiful, delicate creature that's always hypervigilant. Let's talk about gazelle energy. If you're going to be hypervigilant, you're going to be hypervigilant about your money. Then you may also be unnecessarily freaked out. I do not see with Mars ruling your 12th house how there isn't expenses, but I also see the potential of moving to a country where the cost of living is lower or moving abroad in the 2 years that follows this conjunction. I will find the gazelle. You have a heightened awareness and ability, and you can be vulnerable. Those are good things for you in the 2 years that follow. If you're in balance, you are perceptive, you are graceful, and you are artistic. And out of balance, you have insomnia, a racing mind, and food allergies. Well, that's interesting because the 2nd house is the house of what you put in your mouth. I should have addressed that. Surgery to your face, your teeth. Major surgeries to teeth and face may come through the next 2 years. And some of that can be cosmetic, right? So, but it's also what you eat, and Mars cuts, severs, and ends he cuts away, eliminates food. So there's certain kinds of foods and addictions that you have been compelled to pursue orally or through your nose. You're going to stop doing it. The face has got the cutting energy, but also the mouth. So you could, and the nose. So stop inhaling and stop swallowing the things that aren't good for you. Mars will help you do that. It's good for detox, rehab, starting over on those things, cleansing in the 2 years that follow, and good for like any surgical, dermabrasion, laser, sharp objects, you know, on the face to improve your teeth as well. To get yourself in balance, so you don't have that insomnia, food allergies, and racing mind, you want to be doing your yin yoga in a cozy home with good food, cozy home, calm, yin, relaxed yoga. I used to do all kinds of yoga, Bikrams and Iyengar and just hot yoga, and yeah. And now I don't know, my yoga days, and my height of my yoga days might be over, but I was in 2016, 17, 18, before the pandemic in Montreal, I was doing yoga at the University of British Columbia with a bunch of young students in a hot yoga studio called Hot Box Yoga. I loved it. And teachers would say to me, "Oh, God, your practice is so strong." Now my whole fucking, excuse my shoulder, I can barely move my shoulder. Let's go ahead. Arthritis, key injury. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising, not my gallbladder. Capricorn, sun, moon, rising people. It's obviously important because you're Capricorn. I should have started with you. And Mars rising in your sign is one thing that happened last year. And we're going to be doing a deeper dive webinar into this. But Mars dying in the heart of the sun in your sign is a whole different matter. I want you to think about how you lived your life in 1994 and 1995 and how you lived your life in 1979 and 1980, because those were those 2-year windows in which the Mars and death and rebirth in your sign was happening. Capricorn sun, death and rebirth in career, or difficult challenges in the health of your father or challenges in the life of your father. Capricorn moon, challenges in the life of your mother, and or changes in your home and difficult challenges with your emotions. And Capricorn rising, anything in your life could have changed: your home, your marriage, or your job, your career, everything, because the rising sign is like all the circumstantial bits and pieces of life. So your character had a massive reset button in those times if you're rising sign Capricorn. So you can go back and compare notes and see what was going on at that time. Now, those times I mentioned. Now, this is a reset that is also governed by a Mars, bossed around by a Saturn in the 3rd house with a North node. A change in home, if you're going to change your city, neighborhood, that kind of thing. Not likely to a foreign land under this kind of sky, but there's a foreigner element, and Rahu is the foreigner. So I can't completely rule it out, but it could be changing your home connected to a foreigner, but not necessarily to a foreign land. There's a sense that you want to, use this reset button to activate positive developments in communicating, writing, teaching, marketing, and selling, and learning. Some of you may come into a desire to educate yourself and learn a new tool, learn a new skill that you could use in the world to have professional gains and actually make money from a professional path. So there is that educating or re-educating energy in the 2 years that follow, but you're not going off to academia. You're going to learn a skill, a talent, how to change a tire, how to sell a house, real estate license, how to trade stocks in the market. I'm just making shit up. Some of you might be passionately engaged in writing projects. Some of you may be getting down with the writing over these 2 years that follow. And, 3rd house rules the hands, right? Hands and arms. So maybe you're going to do a lot more things that Mars would like to do. Mars with hammers, saws, applying yourself with your hands and arms to get a lot done, typing your best selling novel. Okay. Righty. I do want to tell you that Mars can bring you some inflammation in your body. And you might have gone through some health challenges in the past then, right? So if you go back to 94, 95, or 1980, 81, did you have any challenges like injuries to the body, particularly the knees or any of the spinal parts of your body, maybe your teeth, big problems with teeth as well, back in 79, 1980 and 1979, or back in 1994, 95, go back and think about that stuff. there's nothing I can say, because if Mars is going to give you challenges to your health or body, especially for the rising, okay? Secondarily for sun and moon, but all of you could have the experience of that. This is nothing that's going to take you down. Mars is exalted. Health challenges will find solutions, is where I'm going. Certainly with Mars here, resetting a button, and also as the ruler of your fourth house, where you've been challenged to find your true home or a place of belonging, or feel at one with being in your home. You've been working on that energy of home and belonging. You've been working on that energy since 2019, and this could be in the 2 years that changes everything. And not to mention Chiron leaves that part of your chart fully in 2027. If you're going to change your home, and you may, it may be for a romantic reason because of the trine to your fifth house, right? And the Jupiter witnessing in the seventh. Some of you may relocate your home connected to love and romance and relationship storylines. And that would be something available to you in the 2 years that follows the 19-degree January 9th cosmic reset button, with Mars not visible until March 17th. I wouldn't suggest, or I wouldn't even anticipate a change of home until he's visible. But after that, yeah, there is very possibly for many of you, a change of home. And you Capricorn moons, because moon represents home, you also in those 2 years, a change of home. The starfish. So the starfish is about the way you can be beautiful, alluring, or superficial or shallow in those 2 years ahead. Wow, it's getting dark there. You can bring yourself into balance with uplifting, artistic, and expressive energy. But if you're out of balance, you're going to be a gossip and feel empty. So get your artistic, expressive, and uplifting energy going. Hey, it is the house of writing, where Saturn rules this Mars, death and rebirth. To bring yourself into balance, you need to have positive friends. Oh, that's interesting. Saturn rules this, and he's in the house of the local community, the people around you, you know, the neighborhood, the people you would have proximate real life contact with. And even friends from childhood can be coming into your life again off of this, or friends from when you were much, much younger, like high school even. All right, we're talking Aquarius. I am one of you, my rising sign. And we're going to talk about a reset button in our 12th house. So let's get us going. This is an enlightenment house, full moksha, liberation from the matrix, Buddhahood, walking on water like Jesus, take your pick. You can go for it here. So you might have some enlightenment coming your way. Why the hell not? And if you're going to get some enlightenment coming your way, Mars is going to remove the obstacles. He's going to cut and sever them. However, this is a house of hidden enemies, and Mars would be a hidden enemy who's a male, doesn't have your back, some gnarly guy. Mostly that's not true for most of you. And you got protection from Jupiter. So I don't think hidden enemies can be that bad. You might want to relocate or travel extensively abroad. So this can take you traveling internationally or to far off lands, or relocating to move there as well. And you might be shocked or surprised that you're going to do that move. You're like, oh my God, I didn't see it coming. In the 2 years that follow, you might move to a country other than the one in which you were born. Now, with Mars here as well, you might be experiencing a kind of passion drive and intense reset in money you make from borderless income and digital international revenue. And some of you, it's like, if you already do that, there could be more momentum or more excitement or changes in the way that money comes to you from people from around the world or companies from foreign places, etc. Cutting away addictions is essentially a good thing with this transit as well. So you'll be able to quit and leave behind addictions. If you go back to December of 1993, so let's just make it simple, 1994 and 1995, you did this before, right? This is not the first rodeo for you. What were you doing back then? Oh, it's so funny. I read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle somewhere back in that time, probably closer to 95, 96, but what were you doing in 1979 and 1980, the whole of the time, right? Now, some of you, FYI, with this transit could also be wanting to move your home. Like just because it's got that shock and awe Uranus down there, it would be, as I said, maybe to a place or for a reason that you never anticipated. because I did move my home. Yes, in 1994-95, I moved my family with my family to Annapolis, Maryland from Washington, D.C. So there's moving energies that can come through this as well. Saturn is a ruler of that Mars, and Saturn's in the money house. So again, I see lots of changes in your dietary habits and styles, things that you put in your mouth, especially ones that are bad for you addictively, and then habit formations and breaking them. And then the other thing I can definitely say is that you may be making changes in how you make money. Mars is going to rise in your money house in March, so you're going to do well. But there's something different. There's something new. There's a new way for money to come. And this is especially true for any of you who do international borderless digital, you have Stripe and PayPal and payment processors. Your money can come anywhere in the world towards you. So the kind of like, I'm all alone and I'm in my solitude, right? Mars is there, but he can't just sit around doing nothing. He is Mars. So you'll be passionately pursuing some activities connected to writing, teaching, selling, and marketing, and putting those things together in solitude, right? Because he rules your third house, and it rules your career space as well. So there's just some cursory thoughts. Don't forget, we're going to take a much deeper dive on the second video, the black egg. Okay, speak the truth. Speak truthfully. I'm not going to read it again. I read it already today. It's like when you're in balance, you are aligned with your throat chakra, okay? And truth is coming through from the throat chakra. I find this an interesting card. It makes me think of be impeccable with your word as well from the Four Agreements, because it's Saturn ruling Mars and in the house of the throat, speech, right? So it's about also just the throat chakra. So you're going to make more money by speaking. You're going to be more aligned with telling the truth. You're going to be more on your A game through what comes through this part of your body, okay? That's what I'm getting for you. And the Latin word for vocation is vocare, and it connects to the word voice. And so one's truer vocation may be awakening here for you, and maybe you'll be able to compare that a little bit to, 94, 95 and 79, 80, but you didn't necessarily have Saturn rising here. In fact, you did not. You did in 79, 80. You did have them rising in the earlier version, right? The 79, 80 version in Pisces, but not in the first intermediate one, not in the 1994, 95. So you can't compare it so well to 94, 95, but you can compare it more so to all of 1979 and all of 1980. And finally is Pisces sun, moon, and rising sign in this preview video of Mars in the heart of the sun, resetting himself, and in Capricorn, which is your house of good things, good spirit. It's your relationship to a sibling, one older. It's allies and benefactor, long-range goals and dreams and plans you have for your life, and the way you make money in your career. Wow, I like this for making money. Mars can really ante up intensity, drive, and passion, but a new direction, a new earning strategy. Or you're completely revising, cutting and severing, and rebooting your long-range goals, plans, and dreams for your life. And an exalted Mars here could change the relationship with a younger sibling, an older sibling, one older than you if you have one as well. You might be able to derive financial benefit from a sibling, one older than you as well. And Mars up here. He's definitely going to be changing your friendship circle. So the kinds of crew of people that you call your friends and your social networks will change, and you will lose some friends because Mars will cut away all the friends that are not really the best friends for you and find better ones for you. So change of social community and social circles is indicated. Ruled by Saturn in your sign, you have the realistic, sober-minded approach. Mars will rise in your sign in January, guys. So you're going to really be rising to new directions in life. For your rising signs, it's going to be rising to new directions in anything you want to succeed at. Whereas for you sun signs, it could be career rising in a new career direction, and moon signs rising in where you live. We're going to do a video on the rise coming up in January or February or March. But I do want to mention that when you look at it this way, with Mars in the house of good spirit, it also is windfalls or what feels like pennies from heaven. Mars is not normally the guy to deliver that stuff, but with Jupiter in the house of good fortune, some of you might come into some financial money connected to an elder sibling, connected to career gains in specific. And it feels like to you like you'd lucked out, right? It doesn't mean it's a real jackpot per se, but it can feel like, oh my God, I'm so lucky. And Mars is also the ruler of your pocketbook, your wallet, your savings, how much money you have. You've been wounded a bit since 2019 on your money front. Mars is turning that around, but he's got a little force behind it. He owned your money house, but he squares it from here. And you might be making some changes in your spiritual philosophy or in things to do with how you create earnings and gains from your career connected to foreign people and lands. Those are some new thoughts I'm seeing as well here for you in the next 2 years. I mean, you want to go back in time, of course, and compare notes to 1994, 95, or also 1979, 1980. Those were when you had this Mars dying and being born again in this part of your chart. It's a little bit more like 79 to 80 because he also rose in your sign for a direct comparison. I know some of you were like in high school or something, so, but you could have had some great successes, you know, in your academics or something. That's what I've got for you. Let's draw a card and see what you get. This is a very accurate technique. I hope you guys will come to my webinar that I'll be teaching in early January. The unicorn, it's not even a real beastie. The unicorn is really a cool card. Okay, you got the unicorn, Pisces. You are just the epicenter of enchantment. Oh, and it's getting so dark in here. Unicorn. Give me a minute. It's a card about enchantment, right? Reconnecting to your higher wisdom or divinity. And that's because Mars rules your house of God, and he's resetting in the house of your long-range goals and plans. So he can wake you up to your curiosity about your higher self and the divine, exploring, contemplating the inexplicable, a deeper dimension to our experience. It's your sixth chakra, the mind's eye. Quest for answers, spiritual answers. All right, that's what I got for you. It's so dark here, it's ridiculous. Thanks for listening. There's no outro today. Other than I've been dreaming of tidal waves and shaking beds, the stuff. So the outro would be beware the tidal waves that may be coming, especially in Cascadia Fault in the Pacific coast of Canada and the northern part of the USA, like Oregon, etc. So if there's an outro, I'd say pay attention to your dreams. If you get a signal like you know, to be safer than you normally would be, or to put together like a pack of like a, I don't know, water, a battery charger that runs on solar energy and other things you would need in case there was a disaster anywhere from Oregon, Washington State, Vancouver, Canada, Seattle, yeah, Portland. There is a possibility in my dream that I had that I was getting a phone blaring that there was an earthquake warning, tsunami warning in Vancouver, British Columbia from that public service announcement. Woo, woo, when your phone starts screeching, right? And that's my concern, that that dream is real. And I can see the sky with Algol and Uranus energy and Neptune on Shia for water disaster star. I just see, and Deucalion, the Noah's Ark asteroid is highly active, and Typhon for typhoons. I think water disaster earthquake stories are still playing out. I'm recording on December the 9th, Tuesday, December the 9th. It comes out on Thursday. I think we're under that potential problem all through the month of December already. So I think I'm going to listen to my own advice and stock up on like preparedness items. Use your own intuition about what you need or don't need. Trust your own self. Thanks for listening, guys. Ciao, ciao. And I'll see you in the next video.